Back in September, I finally decided to replace my Razer Death Adder with a Cooler Master MM711, and I actually ended up doing an unboxing of that mouse here on the channel. And now that I've been using the mouse for several months, I feel like it is probably about time that I give this mouse a full review. More on that after the intro. Welcome to Top Spec, your one-stop shop for tech content. And if you're new around here, we upload tech content every week, so that sounds like your thing. Feel free to join us by pressing that red subscribe button down below. So I have an odd history with gaming mice. My first one was a Razer Death Adder, and eventually after a couple years of use, I started to have a actuation issue where if I pressed and held on the mouse 1 button, it would interpret it as me pressing down on the button rapidly. So I ended up replacing it, and I really liked that mouse, so I went with the same exact mouse, just with the more present version of it. And I ended up having the same exact issue. So after both of those mice, I ended up deciding to change up the brand, and I bought a Cooler Master mouse, and I have a lot to say about it. Being a lightweight gaming mouse and weighing only 60 grams, I was a little bit skeptical of the build quality of this mouse before I purchased it. And after I purchased it and have been using it for a while, the build quality, although it isn't perfect, there really isn't too much to complain about. Based on reviews of the previous generation, the Cooler Master MM710, that mouse actually struggled with a lot of creaking issues when you were to press down on the mouse firmly. And I will say for the Cooler Master MM711, they really took that into consideration when they were building this mouse and refreshing it for this new generation. If you squeeze on the sides of the mouse, there's very little noise that occurs, and the mouse is overall very rigid and does not give much at all. However, I have noticed that if you press down firmly on the mouse 1 or mouse 2 buttons, there's a little bit of creaking that happens, and there's a slight give on the buttons. It will kind of wiggle side to side. So if you're a person that presses down really firmly on your buttons when gaming, you might want to take that into consideration. I personally haven't experienced it when I've just been using the mouse for browsing the web or some casual or competitive gaming, and I wouldn't expect most people to experience it either, but just keep that in mind if you're going to be pressing down on the buttons very, very firmly. This mouse also features an ambidextrous design, which means that both left-handed and right-handed users can use the mouse with ease. As for the color options for this mouse, I've seen that it comes in both gloss and matte white, as well as gloss and matte black, and I even saw this one wilderness green colorway on Amazon, so if that's something you're interested in, that exists. When I purchased this mouse, I wanted to get it in a white color option just because I have a white keyboard and some white shelves, and I felt like it would tie in really well with the rest of my setup. Unfortunately though, when I went to purchase it, the matte finish of the white colorway was actually sold out, so I went with the gloss finish. Now this gloss finish looks really nice when sitting on my desk, and God forbid you end up eating at your desk, you will have some grime left over from food and skin oil and all that kind of stuff. So my one recommendation to you will be, if you are buying this mouse, get it in a matte finish, just because that will be much better for resisting natural oils and that kind of thing, and it won't build up over time like I've experienced with my glossy mouse. So this mouse is not wireless, it is wired, and the cable that it features is actually pretty great. Compared to my Razer Death Adder, the cable is really, really nice. It's very loose and lightweight. It almost feels like you're using a wireless mouse, as it should when you're using it, versus the Razer Death Adder that I had before, which was very stiff and it sometimes got in the way. But this cable is really, really nice because it bends very easily and you don't have to worry about it getting in the way when you're gaming or just using the mouse for casual use. As most gaming mice do nowadays, this mouse has downloadable software that you can install on your PC, and with that software you get multiple different lighting options as you would with Razer Synapse or something like that. You get the typical static, breathing, color spectrum options, as well as a custom option where you can set the internal light and the scroll wheel light individually. There's really not too much to write home about with the lighting options. Pretty much everything this features is a standard now with gaming mice, so you won't really be blown away, but you also won't be disappointed. So if you're interested in the lighting, that's what this mouse features. Now onto the really important section of this video. How exactly does this mouse work in day-to-day use? As of recently, I haven't been playing as many games on my PC, but I have been still using my PC pretty often for schoolwork or editing videos like this, or graphic design work and things like that. And this mouse has never really distracted me. It's always just been great at what it does, and it's never really come to my attention, which is exactly what a peripheral should do. especially a mouse or keyboard. When it does come to gaming though, this mouse is a great performer. The lightweight aspect of it really makes a big difference, and especially if you are a lower sensitivity player on a first-person shooter game like CSGO or Overwatch or something, this mouse will be great. You can easily flick it around your mouse pad. I'm a higher sensitivity player and the mouse still works fantastic for me, but I really do think it will benefit those lower sensitivity players with maybe getting flicks with an op in CSGO or something like that. With the mouse movement in mind, you get a lot of customizability with the Master Plus software that this mouse uses. There's a lot of different options in that app. You can change the DPI setting, obviously, as well as the double click speed and the button sensitivity, and a ton more nuanced settings that I won't even get into because there is a lot. Also within the Master Plus software, you can set up macros as well as 5 different profiles for the mouse. So maybe if you have different DPI settings for different games, you can switch between that, or if you share the mouse on a PC with multiple people, maybe a sibling or a roommate or something like that, you can switch between the profiles and you can each have your own DPI settings on the mouse without having to go in and change it every time. Cooler Master's website states that this mouse uses pro-grade Omron switches, which are actually good for more than 20 million key presses. And from my experience, these switches are totally fine. In fact, I really like them. They're plenty more satisfying and clicky than the Razer Death Adder, and I'd say it's a major upgrade. Here's a quick demonstration of the sounds. So at $60, I would say that the Cooler Master MM711 is a fantastic option for somebody who's looking for a decently priced, quality, consistent gaming mouse. It's nothing super special, but it definitely gets the job done. My only recommendation to you if you were to buy this mouse would be to get a matte finish and not a gloss one, just because the matte finish would do a much better job at not collecting your skin oils and natural residue that shows up on your hand. I don't eat at my desk very often and I still get that built up on the mouse, and it's kind of gross and I gotta clean it off pretty often. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this video. If you're interested in the unboxing of this mouse, I linked a card in the upper right hand corner earlier in this video. And if you're also interested in more gaming peripheral videos like this one, we have 4 different videos on gaming keyboards as well as our more recent Razer Mambo wireless review. So if you're interested in any of those, feel free to click on our channel and check out those videos. Other than that, that's about it. I'm Connor and this is Top Spec. We'll see you next week.